I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching a special art fair edition of FYI. July in downtown is known for one of the biggest visual arts event in the nation, the Ann Arbor Art Fair. This three-day spectacle features nearly 1,000 artists from all over and welcomes hundreds of thousands of attendees to keep the city booming. Joining me is Angela Kline, Executive Director of the Ann Arbor Street Art Fair, the original, Francis Todoro, Executive Director of the State Street Art Fair, and Karen Delhey, Executive Director of the Ann Arbor Summer Art Fair. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
So, I'd like you first to talk about, coming back in full force this year. We've had art fairs since COVID started, but this is going to be, sounds like bigger than it has been in the past even.
We're definitely seeing a return to more normal. I think there will be some things that carried over from last year, some of the artists spacing out. So we'll have a little bit less artists than we have in the past, but more than we had last year, if that makes sense. So we're definitely seeing a return to normal with bringing back a lot of the activities that have been there in the past. A lot more food will be out than was previously. So yeah, we're excited to see things kind of starting to return to somewhat normal.
Talk about how important it is to have this art fair for the city, for revenue, for the vitality of the city, because bringing it back, I mean, it benefits the city in so many ways, but it's also benefiting the arts and creativity too.
For State Street, that is, they look forward to this every year. It's definitely part of the business model for downtown Ann Arbor. We are second only to University of Michigan football. And that means a lot to our downtown and what businesses are there, what businesses survive the summer when the students go home. So it's a huge boost for our economy that we don't see otherwise.
Talk about that creative aspect too, Angela or Karen. We're welcoming Angela for the first time this year, I should mention. She's now taking over the reins from Mo Riley. So I'd like to welcome you to this year's art fair in Ann Arbor.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
But talk about that creative aspect, why it is such an important thing to have creativity at your fingertips and see the different kinds of art, because I think art is constantly evolving too.
I love to tell my children, this is what I tell them all the time. I'm like, look at all of these amazing artists. We have over 1,000 or nearly 1,000 artists coming to the event. Not only are they taking something that they're incredibly passionate about, they're making it, they're building it, they're marketing it, and they're driving all this way from all over the country to put up and sell art, to make it available to you. And then you get to bring that home and have that piece of inspiration that you look at all the time about. And I just say it's really about grit and determination and believing in yourself. And that's why I'm a huge art collector as well. So before I was the director, I would do the fair and collect as much art as I could. So I have a substantial art fair art collection.
And how amazing is it for artists? I mean, to be able to sell their work and meet these people that really enjoy what they're seeing and be able to talk to them, and for the patrons to be able to meet the artists and really get like that backstory about whatever they're purchasing.
That's one of the great things about an art fair, right? Is art is very personal, and making those connections, being able to come and talk to an artist, learn their story, see how you connect with that story. It bonds you to that piece and makes it that much more special.
I love knowing the story. I love knowing the story of the artists. Attendees, when they're coming, they are just seeing the image online. And then when they come and they meet the artist and they hear the story, their personal story and the work, it creates that connection and something that you can love always after that.
Like you said, you're a collector. You've been coming to the art fair and collecting art. But when you have people in your home, I'm sure they ask you about it, and you have these sort of personal stories that you can then tell people about that piece of art.
Yes, absolutely.
I think a fun family thing too is when you have family members that all have the same favorite artists, and you get to, look at them on social media and follow them throughout the year. And even if, you're going to visit someplace and there's a fair there and you're like, oh, is such and such going to be there? And I think it just becomes a really great camaraderie too between the artist and the customer.
Definitely. Since Angela's new here, why don't we talk about because we think of it as the Ann Arbor Art Fair, but why don't we talk about your different fairs and what sort of sets you apart from each other? And you can also mention your footprint.
So our footprint has traditionally always been on Ingalls Mall. Well, it hasn't always been on Ingalls Mall, but it is. It is now. It has been for several years. So it's easy to find. It's in a nice little eye shape to indicate Ingalls Mall. I think what sets us apart is, we don't have on our footprint, we don't allow reproductions. It's all original art. But each footprint has amazing artists that have, so it's hard to distinguish in that way, especially as someone that's been coming to the art fair all of these years. I never went to just one footprint. I went through every part of it. So really, I would say that's the biggest distinction on our end.
For State Street, the biggest distinction is that we have the businesses actually next to the artists participating, whether it be restaurants or retailers. So those traditional sidewalk sales of art fair are right there in the street as you're walking by, or grabbing something to eat you'd be having dinner at Taste, and there's artists on either side of you and across the street from you. So you're really right there in the middle of it all.
And I think one of those sidewalk sales are one of the most fun parts of the art fair as well.
Yep, they're different.
Karen?
So our section of the fair, we're kind of scattered. We have all of Main Street. We're on Liberty up to 5th. We have State Street from Madison to William. And then last year we added the South University section of the fair. Unfortunately, the South University Area Association dissolved due to COVID. So we worked with the businesses in that area and extended our footprint into that section of the fair. We've embraced that and tried to stay true to that South University section and the model that they had prior. The only difference I would say is that it's all artists down there now. We don't have vendors that previously were there. But in our Main Street area, we have restaurants out in the street with the artists. That's been the last couple of years, and it's been really a nice addition to the event. It just gives it such a festive, fun feel. I would say in regards to the fairs, I think it's important to embrace our similarities as well. We are all juried fine art fairs. You're going to see some of the best artists in the country at this event. When you're there, make sure you embrace that and try and visit the whole thing.
You have to visit the whole fair. You don't want to just go to hit up one. You want to hit up the whole fair. And that's why you take the day to be there,
Mm-hmm.
And, because it is such a large area that you're navigating and there's so much to see, and you guys are sort of experts about it. What is the best way to sort of stay in the know, navigate the fair, maybe plan ahead before you go?
Take a look at our website, AnnArborArtFair.com, and really see what's going on, get a feel for it. We'll have our map up there ahead of time. But, you can also stop by an information booth and grab that map so you can get a feel for where you want to be. We'll also have a Scantron on there so that you can scan directly to the website to find artists and get a feel for where you are. And also, look around to note where you're at and look at those landmarks that are around you. Because that'll really help too when you're finding your way back or saying, hey, I want to make sure I make it back to this artist. It's a really good opportunity to get to know Ann Arbor for the next time you come.
Yeah, because us locals, we might know where we're going. We might be able to figure it out a little bit easier. But a lot of people come from out of town to this event. Mm-hmm. And it can get a little confusing, I think, if you don't really have that map and really know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
I would always tackle it by footprint. And so I would spend a day in each section. And that just made it, maybe that's the organizational part of my mind, but it was helpful to me to go to the website, see the map, and go to each section. That way I knew where to park and explore. And I've been coming to this art fair since 1992, if that ages me at all.
Well, yeah, because CTN, we don't have a booth there this year, so we will let people know we're not, there will be some people roaming around though from CTN interviewing artists, etc. But yeah, I usually started at your art fair, Angela, because that's where our booth was. And then I would navigate to the other art fairs as I would go along. And then I switched it up because I felt like I was doing too much in that art fair. And then I would start at Main Street just to have a different point of view.
Yeah.
But you mentioned parking. Tell people about parking, where they can park, the best ways to park your car and then walk around the fair.
There's several options. As people know, there are several parking structures located throughout downtown. Anybody can visit our website to get locations for parking structures. We are working with Trinity Transportation. They will be offering park and ride shuttles from Briarwood and Huron High School. It's free to park, $5 round trip. Then when you're on site, we've partnered this year with May Mobility, and they're doing a variation of our Art Go Round, which will be kind of fun. It's the autonomous shuttles. So you can hop in right around the event and it'll drop you off at different locations.
Oh, how cool. So it's not a trolley anymore.
No. Times are changing.
Well, one of the things that people always, I think, worry about when they are coming to the art fair is they're going to be construction when they arrive. So what's the construction status in your areas?
So the big one right now is on State Street and North University. So that's from Liberty to William and a portion of North U to Thayer. And that is, it looks pretty big right now, pretty deep, and we are having some challenges, but the crew has been awesome and they're ticking right along. So the week of Art Fair, they will have everything temporarily patched. We'll have a temporary surface put down and they will be out of here. They may leave us some barricades to use during the fair, but they will be gone. And then we'll have a fair and then they'll come back and start right in there to finish before football season.
It's always amazing that they can accommodate that too. I think it's just great that they can do that because it just alleviates a lot of stress for you, I'm sure, specifically, Francis, this year.
Yeah, and we've been warned there's going to be more next year. So it is something that the city and the crews and the contractors are really good about understanding and working with the art fair to make sure it goes off without a hitch.
We mentioned food a little bit, but when you come to the art fair, you're planning on eating because you're not going to just come to the art fair for like an hour. You're going to come for like 6-8 hours. You're going to want a meal there. Last year, you didn't really have the food trucks. You had local restaurants, which are a delight, obviously, but it can be easier just to, pick that food up and go. So what's happening this year with food and obviously restaurants as well?
This year, we're handling our own food trucks. Usually the university does. So we'll have Kaya's Smokehouse, we'll have Bow Boys and Bear Claw Coffee and our usual Italian ice. And then the league is also going to be open. They'll have their food as well. So not a lot of changes, but a little bit new to us.
So we have in the State Street area, we will have our businesses out. So Amir will be out there with his sausage and peppers, and NYPD will have their pizza. And of course, the patio seating for the businesses. But in addition to Detroit Cookie Company this year, the next block over, the 500 block of William, we're going to have some food trucks, which is new for us. So we will be having Aunt Annie's Pretzels, Cinnabon, some cinnamon nuts, and a Kona Ice. So we're pretty excited. It's near the Civic Theater stage, so it's lots of sweets.
I will say, Aunt Annie's is at the mall. It's the longest food line at the mall. The mall will be empty, but the pretzel line is never ending. Karen,
and then just to tag on Main Street, we have restaurants that will be out in the street. The Main Street food court is no longer, so there will not be a food court on Liberty and Main this year. But like I said, restaurants will be out. Jim Brady's is out. Paleo's usually out. So lots of great choices along there. And then up on State Street, between Madison and South University, we'll have a very small food court. But one of the highlights will be frickin' good cookies. And they are frickin' good. I will attest to that. So just to add on to that sweet motif, we're gonna we'll put a plug out there for frickin' good cookies.
I mean, nothing can beat a delicious cookie, honestly.
Right.
Talk about the different music stages that you have this year, maybe some of the performers that we'll see during this 3-day event.
Our stage on Main will return. It's presented by DTE Energy this year, and we feature the ARC on that stage. So they do all the booking. The headliner will be Jared Deck, and he will be performing on Saturday evening. You can get a full schedule on the website of all the performers for that stage. But there will also be some really interesting different things as part of our partnership with the Prison Creative Arts Project this year. So be sure to check it out. I think the U of M Men's Glee Club will be there, and some other fun stuff. So.
Can you go a little deeper about that Prison Creative Arts Project and what it's all about?
Yep. So we have partnered this year with the Prison Creative Arts Project, and they are bringing their exhibit called We Bear to the fair. They will be located in a tent on Main and Liberty. Basically, it's a project that was in partnership with an organization in the UK, and it had to do with creating art, incarcerated people creating art based on a certain image. And what they used was a bear. And so each prisoner had to come up with what their take on this artwork and how it made them feel. It was a bear in captivity is basically. So it's very deep, very thought-provoking work. And I highly recommend there's going to be some workshops before, and then they're going to do some talks on our stage regarding, there will be some storytelling, kind of like on NPR, the Moth program. So it's very interesting. It's all very impactful, and I highly recommend checking it out.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Did you, Angela, Francis, want to mention anything about music stages or any additional activities that you're expecting to have other than just, the art fair booths and food and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'd love to. But I do kind of feel like I'm so sad that I don't get to go see everything that's happening on Francis's footprint and Karen's footprint. I'm like, it's like we're Santa Claus and we get to plan all the stuff, but we don't actually get to experience Christmas. So I hear you talking about these things and I want to go. So on our fountain stage is presented by Walsh Detroit Guitars this year, and we have amazing acoustic acts. There are no drums, but PA and all of those things. So we have everyone from the Detroit Opera to Delta 88 is coming back. We have just really fantastic acoustic acts that I'm incredibly excited about this year.
Our stage is relatively new. It is a post-COVID thing that State Street started, and it is joint with the Ann Arbor Civic Theater, which is a small local theater in downtown Ann Arbor. And they're going to be programming from noon to 7 every day. They're working jointly with the School of Rock. So we're going to have a lot of performers, really, really local performers and young people who will be entertaining throughout the fair.
The Ann Arbor Civic Theater has some really talented, amazing performers too. It's something that you should really check out during the art fair. And this is new. There's never been anything like that before, has there?
No, not for us. I mean, we were in a meeting yesterday and I asked if their young people have their clubs and they have a makeup club. And I said, maybe we can have them come do theater makeup and we can have these little kids all walking around with gashes and, just fun stuff like that to really introduce themselves to the public and let the community know what they mean to all of us in Ann Arbor.
That's a great idea. Kids just love getting their makeup done too. I mean, I was putting my makeup on for the show today. My daughter just sits next to me and does like whatever she wants with my makeup. But every time that's that's our summer activity to do while I'm getting ready for a show.
Francis, don't make your footprint so cool that my young children do not want to spend any time on my footprint. So that might cause some problems. No.
Well, and renowned artist, local artist David Zinn's going to be there too, right? And he's going to be doing some chalk art with kids as well, or is he just going to be sort of sneaking around making his own art?
No, but he's doing what's called Chalk the Walk. So he'll be on the corner of 5th and Liberty, and he'll be doing 2 sessions, Thursday and Saturday, where he will be teaching kids how to do what he does. So those are kind of fun, and we'll have a lot of sidewalk chalk out there for the kids to create their own masterpiece.
And then I'm not sure whose art fair this is in, but you're having someone else, Gary Horton, I believe, who's doing painting on like a storage container.
He is. So that will be on Liberty at Maine as well. And there's we partnered with Modugo this year to provide storage containers for the fair. That's always an important thing to have on site. And they wanted to get creative. And so they are presenting a mural that he will be doing during the fair. So you can come watch him do that during the fair, and then they're going to auction it off. So that's kind of a fun, cool activity as well. So he's very talented. So it'll be fun to see what he comes up with for the storage container.
That'll be fun. Well, you guys all have featured artists, and you put it on your posters, you put it on t-shirts and stuff like that. I always like to spotlight these artists because I think they're important to each fair. So I'd like you each to take an opportunity to tell us about your spotlight artists and their artwork and what they're all about.
So our featured artist is Jeff Shaler. He's an amazing painter and pop artist. I'll do the Vanna White. Here is our poster, wall behind me. And he, not only is he just fun and amazing, but you can go to his website and see, some of his claims to fame. He had artwork on Friends. So that speaks to many generations just there. And he's just a joy to go and spend time in his booth and get to know him and get to know his work. It's jeffshaler.com if you want to take a look at it there as well.
Ours is Henry Levine. He has been with us for many years. He's a glass artist, and he does hand blown glass, and it's functional and it's stunning. We just love it, and it's one of the things we like to change out our mediums. So we've had painters and we've had sculptors, and this is the first time we're having a glass artist, and we're really excited of how the poster came out using the colors of his piece and everything.
Your poster is beautiful, Frances.
Thank you.
Meaning to tell you that it turned out really nice. So our featured artist is Armando Pedroso. He is how to describe Armando. He's fantastic, first of all. He does mixed media work. So he does work with all kinds of mediums. He's used roofing tar in his work. He's just very creative, and all kinds of different bodies of work. He's from Fenville, Michigan. During COVID, he bought this property and created this amazing retreat for people to go to. It's called Blue Vieira. So you can go and stay and participate in art workshops and things. And anyway, so we're really excited. He's, on top of being an incredible artist, he's just an amazing person. And I'm a little biased because he's just one of my favorites. So we're really happy with the artwork. It's called The Joker. And we just think we've been having a lot of fun with it. So we hope everyone will like it.
I want to mention, obviously, COVID is still a concern for people. Luckily, the numbers are a little bit lower right now, and hopefully we can keep that trajectory going for the art fairs. But when you go on the website, you do have some tips for people to feel a little bit more comfortable during the art fair. Do you want to mention that?
Some of those will probably loosen up. I think a lot of the tips are things that we in planning last year worked with the Washtenaw County Health Department on. We will talk to them about updated requirements or recommendations. So some of those things are from last year, but we do still encourage people, like if you have symptoms, obviously you probably shouldn't come out, but I'm happy to say that last year when we had the event, there really were no reports of any issues afterwards. So I think being outdoors, some of the spacing out that we did, we still had really great attendance So that was nice to see. And we try and do things like have added hand sanitizer on site for people. And, and of course, if you're more comfortable wearing a mask, wear a mask, we're no judgment, so whatever anybody feels comfortable with at this point, we encourage.
So do the art fairs need any volunteers, any support in any way for this year still?
We can always use volunteers. We will never say no. So if any groups want to come out and volunteer, we do donations back to groups, especially nonprofits, and individuals. If you just want to come and help out a community event, we're happy to find a place for you.
Does that go for everyone?
Agreed. Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is the best way to find out? Just go on the website. Is there volunteer opportunities on there for people to check out?
So I think it's on each of the individual websites for each of the fairs. So ours is on AnnArborSummerArtFair.com. If they want to say where theirs is at, but yeah, I can say that we could not put on this event without the support of our volunteers. So thank you for letting us take this time to put that plug out there. So.
Yes. We love our volunteers. We couldn't do it without them. It's artfair.org for us, for our volunteer, and we have an entire volunteer page. And Marcy Turin is our wonderful volunteer coordinator, and she will help you, and she's lovely.
Ours is the statestreetdistrict.org, and that'll have all kinds of information on there, but you can feel free to reach out to us at any time. But, we're like Karen, will take groups and give stipends back. So it's worked out really well for us.
Great. Before we go, I'd like you guys all to talk about why you feel like people should come to the 2022 Ann Arbor Art Fair.
The biggest thing is to come and experience the icon of Ann Arbor. I mean, it's just like when people want to come on game day for football, you want to come to Ann Arbor during the art fair. It is something you need to experience, both the art and the local culture. It's just amazing.
I was just going to say that, even before, but especially now since COVID, so many of our small local businesses, as well as the artists, right? So you have to realize that each of these artists is a self-employed small business, right? So supporting them now more than ever is very important. They all went through a really rough time during the pandemic. It was very difficult for them to make a living when events like this got canceled. So we just encourage you to remember the artists and your local community and businesses. So by coming out, you really are supporting all of them.
And I absolutely second what Francis and Karen are saying, and also just the joy of celebrating after COVID all together, the party of music and art and culture and all of our businesses. Is there anything better that we finally all get to be together and experience this? So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, I want to thank you all for taking the time to be on the show. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.